What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, bringing you this episode from a very fluey West Limerick here. But we'll get through it. We were in a bad way with the old flu yesterday, but we're a little bit better today. So I'm jumping in here to have a recap of the Bellator Champion Series London. McCourt versus Collins card, which went down on September 14th, 2024 over in the OVO Wembley Arena in London, England. And we spoke the last couple of Bellator cards, funny enough. We spoke about how maybe they've had a good start, maybe an iffy enough middle, good last couple of fights, and then maybe the main event hasn't always been the best. And I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just kind of been, I suppose, unlucky for them. I think this was the opposite. This card, it started well, kind of struggled in the middle a little bit. And in the top two fights were probably the best two fights of the night, or the two, one big finish and one, fight at night, more than likely. So that's exactly what you'd want from a card. That's exactly what the crowd would want, seeing the crowd home. Well, I don't know, were they happy or unhappy with the result in the end? We'll get to that. But that's the way you want the card being, I suppose. You want your best towards the top, and I definitely think it was here. And, if Bellator could, I suppose if they could capture that and have that all the time, they'd absolutely take it. Now, I'm not sure if they're too happy with the actual outcome of the main event, which, again, we'll get to. But still in all, they have a young up-and-comer in the winning bracket and some new blood in the division as well. But a pretty long card, a lot of decisions, a lot of long fights here. So let's get straight into it. And let's talk about that main event. So the main event was Sara Collins against Leah McCourt for the number one contender fight for, Cyborg's belt at the moment. She's obviously fighting Larissa Pacheco coming up here in a few weeks. Will Cyborg continue to fight after that fight? Will she be back in Bellator? Where will she be? Who knows? But, we can call it that at the moment anyway. Obviously Leah McCourt was coming in here as a slight favourite, but I think, the bookies... Look, I gave Collins one of my bets of the week because I do think they probably underestimated her again. It was one of those ones where there probably isn't enough tape there on Collins, or maybe there wasn't enough research done on her to see how good she is. Like, there's no doubt about it to me. I'd be fairly slow now to pick against an Irish person, as you might well know, and especially give a bet against them. But when I saw the price of Collins being close to even money, I thought that was a bit of a steal, to be honest. And it's not against Leah McCourt, really, because Collins is just a very good fighter. She's powerful, as we saw with her hands, even though she's never knocked anyone out. She could have had a knockout tonight. She could have had a couple of other ones throughout her career as well. And obviously she's very, very good on the ground as well, which is tough for Leah. But Leah had, obviously the more experience and all coming into it, and that's where I suppose that maybe the bookies were drawn a little bit closer. But look, it's easy to be the general after the battle sometimes as well. Although I did call it before the battle. But anyway, we will leave that to one side. Let's get to the fight itself. As I said, a 3-round main event. The original main event was for the middleweight title between Johnny Eblen and Fabian Edwards, and that fight ended up falling out, obviously. So this took over. And we'll run you through the fight here. Leah McCourt started out with a nice leg kick. She kind of slipped. Then after that, there was maybe half a shot landed, but she kind of slipped as she was kind of taking the shot. Collins could have gone down on top of her, chose not to, but I think Leah thrown an up kick as well. We've seen in her past fights, the was it the Janae Harding fight? It wasn't it, where she landed that big up kick and nearly knocked her out. So Collins obviously had watched that fight. She was probably smart enough saying, look, what's the worst case scenario here? I'll either get caught in an up kick or caught in a triangle. Let's back away out here and let's fight in the feet again. I also thought, I have a lot of respect for Dad Hardy, but the kind of the keys to victory for me were like a little bit off here, considering how good I think Collins actually is as a striker comparing her with Leah at the moment. But Leah defended a single leg pretty well then after that, with Collins obviously fighting out of the southpaw, so she's kind of able to reach in for that front leg, single leg a little bit easier. But I actually thought Leah was looking probably as good as she ever did in terms of her fluency with the strike, and I thought her feints looked good. She was throwing a few jabs and all of that. And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen her look this calm and comfortable to start the fight, but obviously, look, that didn't last very, very long. Collins came in and landed a right hand inside, countering, and dropped Leah hard. And the way she dropped, I thought the fight was over right then and there. But Leah's as tough as nails, there's no doubt about that. She held on and held on. Collins ended a load of ground and pound. Again, Leah was holding on. Collins went into the crucifix position. She almost had it, and then Leah fought her way out, kind of got to her knees, moved around. But from that position in, Leah had to kind of give up her back to get out, and Collins took the back very well. Look, Leah was still hurt at this stage. There's no way you could be back to normal that quickly. And Collins put in the rear naked choke and ended up getting the tap early in the first round, 2:25 of the first round. So massive win for Sara Collins. Look, when you put Leah McCourt, Sinead Kavanagh, Pam Sorensen together in Bellator in your first 3 fights, that means a lot. And you know, if she fought for the title next, fighting Cyborg after 6 fights seems like an insane thing to be even suggesting. But look, when you beat that level of competition, that's where you are. You earned that place, and you should be in it. So very, very interesting to see there. Look, for Leah, what next? I think Leah and Sinead is probably the fight to make again. You know, there's a bit of unfinished business there. Obviously, Sinead won it the last time. Leah kind of got a little bit ahead of her. Sinead ended up losing, as I mentioned there, to Sara Collins last time. Hopefully, they're coming back to Ireland, you know, beginning of next year, and that would be definitely the one. They used to do a February card all the time. If they did another February card in Ireland, I think Sinead Kavanagh versus Leah McCourt in a co-main event or third from the top or something like that would be absolutely the fight to make. But for Sara Collins now, with bated breath. Also, like, she didn't really take any damage or anything in this fight. If you're Sara Collins, are you kind of looking for a ticket? And I didn't see the post-fight interview now because I came straight out here to record this, but are you looking for that ticket out to Riyadh or wherever the fight is on? You know, if someone was to fall out of that, could you get in there and get that big title fight? You very, very well could. So interesting times ahead in that division. The fight after that then was the hometown favourite, Simeon Powell versus Rafael Xavier. Very, very interesting fight. Again, let's run you through it. They started the fight by exchanging jabs and leg kicks. Both of them were throwing an awful lot. Both of them were thrown very, very hard in the first, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 seconds. And then it calmed quickly. So interesting start, and then we kind of got into the tactical nous of the fight. Rafael knocked him down with a leg kick. There was a front kick to the face that dropped Paul really, really hard. And you're thinking at that stage, oh God, this could be over here very, very quickly. But Paul was able to get to the clinch. Rafa landed hard on the break, and then they were both kind of jabbing again. Paul stunned him with a jab. Paul went for a takedown at him, and it got him to the clinch. And that kind of back to normal by that stage in when they got back out. Again, some leg kicks. Beautiful left hand to the body by Powell was one of his best shots in the first round. And the Rafa leg kicks throughout the fight were brilliant, and he ended another one there. But then, as the fight was just about to end, the first round was just about to end, Powell got dropped hard with a left hook, I believe it was, and basically knocked out at this stage. But the bell, as I said, chimed. He was able to get up. He was able to get to his corner, and the fight went on. Now, at the start of the second round, he was kind of walking around, like not making it out for the bell type of thing, and then, giving himself a bit of time, and then the round eventually started, which, was smart, I suppose. Rafa landed a leg kick, and then Powell, hard left hook. Both were kind of missing for a while, and you think this is kind of an overarching point throughout this fight, that Xavier just wasn't taking his opportunities. Like, you nearly knocked the lad out and you're not even attacking him at the start of the next round. This happened at the end of the third as well. We'll get to that in a second. But Rafa landed a few in combos. Paul got a clinched, and both landed kind of shots in the clinch, but Paul's were better. Rafa landed a couple of shots in the open, but then Paul was landing some nice jabs. I thought Rafael looked very, very tired towards the end of the second, and then Paul was just landing the better shots in combo, and I think it's 1-1 at that stage then. Start of the third, I was giving out about the zone a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you what, it was on Virgin Media, the Irish broadcaster, and they missed 20 seconds at the start of the third round here, so anything could happen. They missed... what happened? We'll get to one of the fights later on, but literally in the middle of the fight, there was a cut, And they went to check the cut with like 15 seconds left in the fight, and they just went for break. They were like, the round's over, grand, we go for break. I just missed it all. But anyway, when it came back, Powell, I thought he landed a good hard right hand. I didn't mention it much in the commentary, but I thought it was a nice shot. Powell was kind of jabbing him up. Rafa looked to me to be very, very tired here. But then he kind of landed a head kick, and I was thinking to myself, right, there isn't much pop in that, but I think Powell, I hate to say this, but I don't know, does he have exactly the world's most concrete chin? I'm thinking you land one or two with him, especially with everyone being tired at this stage, you could very well win this fight. Like, it's 1-1 at this stage. You could well get the knockout. You get one knockdown, you're winning this fight. But Xavier just didn't have it in him. He really didn't. And it's weird that he was talking to the crowd when they were in the clinch. And I'm thinking, you're one punch away from winning this fight, like, and what are you doing? But he landed a right hand and a left hook, which were nice, but Powell landed in combination. He landed a hard leg kick. And I'm thinking, there's 25 seconds left in this when they kind of got out to the break. And I'm like, there's nothing in this. There's really nothing in this. Someone lands one shot and you're winning this fight and you're winning this round. And no one did it. And, it was a good fight up until that. And when that happened, it's like, and look, both lads are tired. Both lads are probably not thinking straight, but, maybe with a bit of better cornering or a bit of better fight IQ, which is very easy for me to say, that fight could have been changed either way. But in the end, it was a split decision. And look at it, split decision written all over it. And the nod went to Simeon Powell, the hometown guy, who got it. But do you know what? I think it was the right decision. I think he just about deserved it. His teammate, Luke Traynor, had a much easier fight against Laurynas Urbonavicius. He came out, started off with a jab. Urbonavicius landed 2 nice leg kicks. But Luke was thrown in combos to move forward into the clinch, and he was looking good doing it. But good takedown defense from Urbonavicius. There was a clinch in for absolutely ages. And as the clinch broke, Urbonavicius left himself miles wide open, and he was dropped with a left hand as they broke from that clinch. Traynor got into side controlled in at the half guard, took the back, landed some shots, one hook in, both hooks in, rear naked choke. Very, very simple, very, very good win. 4 minutes 15 seconds of the very first round. So the two British light heavyweights both got the wins there. I'll tell you what, I predicted one of them would lose, and it was very, very close, obviously. Urbonavicius, I think if he hadn't made that mistake, I think he could have been in the fight, but very good stuff by Traynor. Really, really good. Then we had Marc Diakiese versus Tim Wilde. Again, they said a similar kind of cadence to the co-main event. First 2 rounds kind of went as planned, and the third, it was left there a little bit. And there was a couple of fights like this throughout the night, but we'll get to this one anyway. First round started, Diakiese landed a lovely body kick and a head kick, and then he landed 2 more body kicks. And I was thinking to myself, I said it in the previous show, I'd love to see the old Marc Diakiese back here. Not just the lad who throws these big wild shots, but he does a bit of everything, bit of wrestling, bit of wildness, bit of power. And I feel like we did. I feel like he did open up as much. Now, it didn't really go for him as well as you'd think, but I think it was a good sign for what we'll see in the future. But anyway, back to this. After the opening kicks from Diakiese, there's a leg kick from Wilde, and then a jab from him as well, and then a body kick of his own. Diakiese, at this stage, threw a wheel kick. He was just off with it, and Tim landed a leg kick of his own. Then there was a low blow by Tim, and it was borderline, but I did think he landed low. There was another one happened then, and I think it was Brian Minor was not having it at all, didn't give it. So Marc was throwing like goal, but not quite landing. And I think Wilde that comes from that Shotokan karate style, and maybe he sees that before others might. But Diakiese did land a nice switch kick to the body. Tim got a clinch and a body lock takedown by Marc towards the end of the round as he ended it on top. Second round in, Marc was going forward and Wilde was countering now. He was letting his hands go a lot more. Nice jabs as well by Tim. Marc got a takedown, but it went into the clinch very, very quickly, and eventually got another takedown into the mount. Went for the arm triangle, but he was on the wrong side. He had the half guard against the cage. He nearly took the back and kind of ended up in half guard again. So it was 2 rounds to nil at that stage for Diakiese. There was no doubt about that. Started the third round. He did that kind of vaulted off the hip wheel kick. And he was just kind of fighting on the outside. Tim was pushing the pace after that. I think he realised he was 2 rounds up. A leg kick by Tim and a right hand by him as well. And Wilde dropped him with a front kick as he was on his way. Now, He didn't hit him with a big front kick to the face and knock him down. He was kind of, I don't know if he going for a takedown or just off balance or whatever, but he definitely kicked him and put him down off of him. Marc was off on a takedown then, and it was all Tim Wilde at this stage. And you know what? A little bit like Xavier early on, he's a little bit too patient, and the fight kind of ended that way. You know, it ended with him being too patient, and we got the decision we were all expecting, 29-28 to Marc Diakiese. Then we had Archie Colgan versus Manoel Sousa. Again, similar sort of fight. I wasn't a big fan of the third round here, but we get to the first two first. Very much feeling out process for the first 70 seconds of this round, and like so much so that the crowd were not happy with it. Sousa landed a jab to start it off. And that was followed by a left hook. Both were kind of throwing jabs in that didn't really land. Colgan missed the right hand, and then we got halfway through the round and we're thinking, right, Sousa's winning this fight based on one jab, and you know, that's not great. But then a right hand each got blocked. Sousa landed a right hand, and then a second. Colgan landed one of his own. Sousa then kind of switched stances, but Colgan went for a big blast double leg with 40 seconds left. Got to the right position, landed some knees in the clinch. Close round. Literally couldn't tell you who won it. Colgan leg kicked in to start the second. They both landed a few jabs. Colgan landed a left hook, so we're kind of, you know, we're already off to a better start here in the second. Left hand by Sousa. Colgan was happy on the outside. There's an eye poke by Sousa. But then after that, there was kind of the first hard exchange of the fight. And no one really got the better of it, but it was good to see, you know. There's a leg kick by Sousa and then a big double leg by Colgan. Got to the half guard, landed some lovely elbows. Sousa went for a Kimura, and he used it to get out and up. There was some knees from Sousa then in the clinch. He landed a right hand of his own, and then he big lift and a big slam by Colgan. So, you know, he probably won that round. Was he 2 rounds up? He might have been. The third got all right. I don't have too much notes in the third. Like, Colgan won the early part of it, landed a couple of right hands, and then there was a clinch, and Sousa was kind of getting desperate, but you know, Colgan was just so far out on his bike. You know, I called it open scoring fighting. Yeah, not a big fan of that at all for myself. And this is why I'm very much anti-open scoring, because he thinks he's 2 rounds up and he just runs around away from him and doesn't fight for the third round. But you're not going to get yourself fans fighting that way. You won the unanimous decision, but yeah, I don't think the fans and I don't think the promotion will be too happy with that. And I know I've no problem with people fighting a tactical fight or fighting defensively or whatever. But God almighty, anti-fighting is something I can't bear. Whether it's in a clinch and you're just holding on, or just like running around, circling away from someone, it's not great. It's not great, and yeah, that's what happened here. Then we had Mike Shipman against Eslam Abdul Baset. Mike drops him hard with a right hand. Did he drop him hard? He kind of half dropped him, I would say. Abdul got to the clinch, and then they were kind of turning each other around. 2 very, very strong lads in there. Mike tries for a takedown, and he gets it on the second attempt. Half guard in for Shipman. Big shoulder pressure, shots on top from Mike. Abdul was kind of just hanging on to him. Mike was on top for about 3 minutes, and there was a bad cut over the eye of Abdul towards the end of the round. Could have been stopped on the cut. Honestly, it was a pretty bad cut. Then there was a left-right from Mike that stunned him. Started the second. Shipman got a takedown into half guard, into side control, went for the Anaconda, but got to the clinch, got another takedown. It was all Shipman at this stage. The fight got back up. Shipman landed a nice knee. Could have been stopped off the knee. It was a big knee, actually. I underplayed that a little bit. So his eye was cut on the right hand side, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And he landed the knee just like to the jaw / chin and kind of lifted up towards the eye. So it was all on that side. I'm sure that didn't have. Could have been stopped in, as I said. There was a bit of ground and pound after. Could have been stopped in, and then it eventually was stopped. I think it was Dan Mergliata in there, and yeah, I would have liked to have seen that one stopped a tad earlier, if I am honest. Then we had Joseph Luciano against Stephen Hill. You know, 2 guys, I'm not sure if they should really be fighting at this level, if I'm being honest. Okay, you know, wrestlers, but the striking just not amazing. You know, Hill got a takedown immediately. Then Joe hit the switch and got up. Immediately taken down again, up to the clinch with Hill holding in. Hill got a mat return and landed some foot stomps when he got to the clinch again. Then there was a long clinch. Hill dumped him with a single leg after that clinch. Then the clinch again. They got back out in the open, and Luciano landed the right hand at the end of the first round. Second round in, Luciano got a takedown immediately. And then he got up, got a second, took the back clinch. There was a break then after that. Right hand landed from Hill, and then Joe went for the Anaconda. And it was like an Anaconda in the middle of the cage. He kind of backed up to the cage. Did Hill. And as he backed up to the cage, he like dipped down and turned his head. He almost turned into the choke. If he'd stayed in the same position, kind of fought the hands, just moved your head, try to keep your air going. Not that he would have been fine. He might have still been out of it, but he made two disastrous decisions here, and very, very much got himself choked here. So, look, a good win for Joseph Luciano, but this was not the most high level of stuff, let's be honest. The opening two fights, though, were very, very good, and two Irish lads in them especially. Now, maybe the opener was a slight bit better than the second one, but we'll get to the second one first. Ciaran Clarke versus Toumas Grönvall. Ciaran Clarke, again, I said it in the previous show. I don't know if it's even on the betting show. This fight hadn't been announced yet. He was supposed to fight Ruiz. Ruiz pulled out. He ended up fighting Toumas Grönvall, who's a very good fighter. If you watch my PFL MENA, PFL Europe, normal PFL, Cage Wars, I guarantee you've heard the name Toumas Grönvall, because he fights everyone. He fights a lot of those guys that you see on the Contender Series, or you'd see in PFL Europe or wherever. This lad is a veteran, and he's a good fighter himself. He's fought in PFL once himself as well. And Ciaran Clarke got this in short notice. But the thing about Ciaran Clarke is, I'd say, out of his last 6 fights, have 5 of them been short notice, like the week of the fight. Genuinely, and this guy cannot get a break. And I tweeted out, but like, all of his fights end up being, we'll get the job done type of things, right? And this one especially, because this was a closer fight than a lot of them. But it's very hard to judge a guy on taking on a way different opponent to the Ruiz. I watch a lot of Ruiz. I know Grönvall very, very well. Grönvall is your good technical fighter who's like a slower paced, methodical guy. Ruiz is a full stop, non-stop southpaw, go forward. Couldn't be much different to Grönvall. And this has happened multiple times to Ciaran Clarke, and he just cannot catch a break. But let's run through the fight. And it was a lot of stuff happened in this fight, I'll be honest. Grönvall started off with a body kick, which was very, very nice. Clarke was outside, very much taking his time. He closed the distance very quick and got a single leg, took the back, slipping off as Grönvall stood up. He didn't actually slip off, though. He held on and got the back on the ground, but Toumas elevated again, and Clarke did fall off this time. Toumas landed some knees in the clinch. Clarke reverses and broke. And after that, then Grönvall went for a takedown of his own, which is a little bit out of left field, I suppose. That led to a clinch, and that was very bad for Grönvall, because the biggest shot of the fight, if memory serves me correctly, we'll get the rest of it here in a second, was that Ciaran Clarke elbow from the break. A massive shot from Clarke, and it shows what kind of fighter Grönvall is as well. He took it and, didn't make a dent. Grönvall was pushing into the clinch, then got back to the open, they exchanged jabs. Clarke got a takedown, but Grönvall managed to land a few shots. Clarke got on the back, but again, he kind of slipped off. They got up, and it was close, but definitely a Clarke round based on that elbow. The second round was much closer, in my opinion. Very hard round to call. Started out with a few jabs. Clarke pushes him back with a jab, and then there's a big double leg from Grönvall. And funnily enough, I think, again, the first round, going for the takedown, lost him the fight because he got at the elbow. And I think the same thing happened here, because when he did take Clarke down, Clarke elbowed him about 20 times from his back. And there were big shots when he went for the armbar, so much so that Grönvall kind of backed away, and he got to space, got out and got to the clinch. And then Clarke went for a takedown, but that was no good. Grönvall was winning in the clinch. But Clarke again jumped on his back, fell off again, and it was all due to Grönvall, kind of the movements of him. It wasn't just him falling off, I suppose. Grönvall then got on top, took the back, but he never really established control in the way that kind of Clarke did. Clarke slips out and he runs to the clinch for a while. Again, close, but based on those grounded elbows, or the elbows when he was on the ground, you'd have to give it to Clarke, I think. And I think all three judges give it to him? I'm not 100% sure, but I think they did. Third round in, single leg immediately for Clarke. Got to the clinch, got back to the open. Clarke landed a nice jab to a takedown against the cage. Then he got into the right position and a mat return. And then he took the back with both hooks. And this was very, very different to the previous times. Got into the body triangle, landed some punches. Grönvall stood up, but Ciaran Clarke was still attached to his back. Goes down again. Grönvall tried to spike him. It didn't work. He tried it again. It didn't work. Stands again and falls this time. And he was in a very, very bad position then. Clarke landed some punches, controls the back for ages, nearly had a rear naked choke even as the round in it. So very, very dominant round 3. I think one judge gave that a 10-8, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't think it at the time, but reading back here now, he did dominate like 3.5, maybe 4 minutes of that. And he won the whole round basically. So a very good third round from Ciaran Clarke. That's the real Ciaran Clarke in there. Tough matchup on short notice. He's 10-0 now. Do you know what Ciaran Clarke needs? He needs someone who they know will show up, right? He needs, I'd love to see him fight Hassan Magomedsharipov. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. Let's make that happen, and let's see where we go after that. And then the opening fight at night was another Irishman. We went from County Louth to County Donegal with Dara Kelly against Dimitri Hashchenko. I gave Dara as one of my bets of the week at plus 185, and by God, was I right on that. That price was way off. Dara looked phenomenal, dominated the whole fight against a guy who is 9-0 versus 6-0. Dara Kelly, 6-0 fighter. Dimitri further along in his development, you would say, but God Almighty, did Dara Kelly close that door very, very quickly here. Let's run through the fight. I couldn't believe how improved Kelly looked on the feet, to be honest. He hooked his way in at the start of the first round, landed a right hand and a nice jab. Dimitri tried to counter, but he wasn't having much success. Kelly landed a combo into the clinch, and then he tripped him and he landed in mount for a second. Dimitri scrambled and got up into the clinch. When he got back to the open, Kelly landed a lovely leg kick. And then Dimitri landed some nice jabs in space. He was switching stances, I think because of the work Kelly had done early in the round. But then Kelly landed a big right hand and a leaping left hook after. It looked very, very dangerous. Kelly got into the clinch, back to the open. Dimitri did land some nice leg kicks, but the uppercut of Kelly landed after that. And this was a shot that from there was the story of the fight. He landed another uppercut right after with a left hook added on. Kelly threw a flying knee that I think grazed him a little bit. Dimitri got into the clinch. When you're Dara Kelly and you're the one who's expected to be clinching and be taking him down, when it's Dimitri Hashchenko, the striker, who's getting you into the clinch, something has gone very, very right then. Hard uppercut again by Kelly. Kelly got into the clinch here, late eye poke, but a clear 10-9 round for Dara Kelly. Round 2, they exchanged the hands early. I think Dimitri kind of said here, I have to go out and have to strike with this guy. It's the only way I'm going to win here. And he did land a nice jab early in this second round. Kelly landed that uppercut again though on a left hook. Dimitri head kick was caught, and he threw the leg miles up in the air. Kelly clinched him briefly off of it, and then he landed these hockey punches, I'd say would be the best way to describe him, but a series of uppercuts from Kelly. Lovely stuff. Kelly was bleeding from his face, and I'm not sure, maybe it was, I don't know if he cut off that kick with a toe maybe or something. I'm not sure. Maybe there was a punch in there, but I didn't necessarily see it. It's hard to know where it came from as well, because it was kind of like, I think they said his nose was bleeding, but I thought it was further up. You'd never know when you get into the clinch or stuff, but it wasn't a major factor anyway. Kelly was kind of striking now only at that stage of the fight, and I was like, oh, is this, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. And Dimitri did land a nice combination. Kelly I thought he was slowing down a little bit, but that proved to be wrong. Both landed right hands. Kelly got a smart takedown in. And everyone's going to slow down a little bit in the fight. Everyone's going to get a little bit tired in the fight. If you can get that takedown just at that point happens, you're set. And that's exactly what Dara Kelly did. Brilliant takedown. Got into cycle control, but a little bit too close to the cage. Dimitri was able to stand up, but Kelly was attached to his hips. Then Kelly got a body lock takedown, got into the right position. Dimitri did stand up again before they got to the open, but then the biggest uppercut of all, I think, probably landed then, and Kelly landed a right hand after it as well. There was another uppercut then, leg clinch, low blow on Kelly then at the end of the second. He was clearly 2 rounds up, and he, as I said, landed those uppercuts at will. The third round in, both landed some jabs. I thought Dimitri did get the better of it throughout the first 15, 20 seconds of that round, maybe even not that much, but Kelly knocked him down twice with leg kicks then after that. Kelly got into the clinch. Then there was another low blow from Dimitri. Kelly was down for ages then, and he got up and he did look less tired, but I think Dimitri was kind of getting tired at this stage as well, so I don't know who had benefited more. Kelly landed loads of uppercuts, got into the clinch, landed some left hands, big lift and takedown, expends a lot of energy, but he had it to expend at this stage. Dimitri, another low blow, and this time a point was taken. I think it was that the second one now, if memory serves, looked very bad. Like it looked like I'm frustrated here, I'm giving you a low blow, and God almighty, if you're Dara Kelly and you see that coming, you must be like, okay, I took a kick to the balls, not great, but at the same time, this guy, I've beaten him down so badly, he's getting frustrated with me. Brilliant stuff altogether. Dimitri tried to attack after that, but Kelly's attacks were just better. He met fire with fire. His punches were better. Then he got a double leg into the clinch, landed some knees in the clinch, held on for a single for ages. Then he kind of let it go, clinched again. Dimitri grabbed the cage twice towards the end again when they were in the clinch, but that was the end of the fight, and Dara Kelly won. And won the unanimous decision. I believe he won 30. Did he win 30-26 on all 3 cards? He must have. So a great performance from Dara Kelly, and a good start to, I suppose, the higher level of his career, because you can't go from a 9-0 guy back down. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. So that was the whole card. Let's run through the results again. In the main event, Sara Collins defeated Leah McCourt via submission in the first round. Rear naked choke, 225. There was a split decision win for Simeon Powell against Rafael Xavier in the light heavyweight division in the co-main event. The next fight, Luke Traynor beat Laurynas Urbonavicius via first round rear naked choke, 4-15. There was 2 decisions then in a row. Marc Diakiese defeated Tim Wilde, and Archie Colgan defeated Manoel Sousa respectively. Mike Shipman knocked out Abdul Baset in the second round, 232. There was an Anaconda Choke win for Joseph Luciano over Stephen Hill at 2 minutes. The second round, 1 minute 22 seconds. And then the 2 Irish guys got unanimous decision wins: Ciaran Clarke over Toumas Grönvall, Dara Kelly over Dimitri Hishrenko respectively. Another Irish guy here signing out. My name is Sean Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.